Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So in this video lesson, we're going to be shifting Burnt Sienna on the color wheel because we're working with Burnt Sienna now. So looking over on the color wheel, we know that Burnt Sienna is a red-orange. It is a neutral. It's not a true red-orange. It's not an orange. It kind of sits right about in the middle. Also, as a reminder that depending on the lighting that you're working with, under the lighting, whether it's cool, which is 6500 Kelvin, or sorry, daylight, which is 6500 Kelvin, cool light, or warm light, that's going to affect the appearance of your colors. So whenever you're making your color charts, maybe make a notation of the lighting that you're under, and for the completion of that color chart, do it in the same spot with the same lighting. That way it doesn't change. If I do my color chart right now, because it's I have no idea what time it is. I think it's around 11 o'clock in the morning. If I were to leave everything on, the lights the way they are, and do this at 7 o'clock at night, it'd be completely different because I've lost the light from the window, which will change how I see the color and how I do the color mixes if I wanted to try to keep them the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift Burnt Sienna on the color wheel by adding bits of paint. So we're going to work with Naphtha Red Light, Payne Orange, Hansa Yellow Medium, and then we're going to go right opposite on the color wheel with Ultramarine Blue and Phthalo Blue. So all of these, other than Burnt Sienna, other than Burnt Sienna and Opaque Titanium White, these are all semi-transparent paints. So Phthalo Blue, semi-transparent, make sure, that's transparent, that's semi-transparent. But we're going to do the chart a little bit differently. Now let's see if I can do this without screwing up. I'm going to take equal parts of the paints and put them here. And when I say equal parts, I'm going to visually equal part it because unless we're using measuring spoons, I may be a bit more heavy-handed on the Burnt Sienna or on the mixing color. That's going to go here. Then up here, I'm going to add more Burnt Sienna. Then to that mix down here, I'm going to add more of the mixing color with white in there so we can see the true underlying color. And only because the mixes will be very dark. That's why I'm going to be adding the white. So let's start Burnt Sienna. Oh, I'm going to need more than that. So I'm thinking 3 tips of Burnt Sienna and 3 tips of Naphtha Red Light. I think I'm a bit heavy on the Burnt Sienna there. Let me add another one. Okay, we mix these up. And I'm probably going to have to go to another palette of paper so I don't mess this up. So roughly equal parts of Burnt Sienna and Naphtha Red Light. That's going to go right here. Shoot, how are you going to see the true underlying color? Okay, let's go here because I've got more room down here. So I'm going to go here. This will be this plus titanium white. How's that? Okay. So now I'm going to take white, which I don't have on there. Take the white. And I'm going to go down here. Ooh! Nice. Nice. Look at that. So when comparing, where's my chart? Where's my, seriously, there it is. So there's traditions right there's a Burnt Sienna right there. And now that's what we get. So can we look to see? I think if you knock down the red a bit, it'll be close to transparent red iron oxide. Well, there's the next lesson. No, that's in 2 lessons. All right. Oh, just test the opacity. Yeah, nice. Look at that. Nice. Okay, so what we're going to do now. So to this mix now, to go up, we're going to add more Burnt Sienna. So roughly the same amount, like that dot. Okay. We're going to add that. and then maybe just a little bit more white, just a little bit. And we're going to go here. Becomes a little bit more opaque. And then a little bit more burnt sienna. And a little bit more white. The white is just so we can see the true underlying color and keeping it light. So adding the burnt sienna dulls it. And it goes more brown. Okay. So now with this, what we have to do, now we're going to go with adding more of the mixing color, which is Naphtha Red Light. But we're going to use the same puddle of paint. So what do we have to do? We can't just take Naphtha Red Light, add it here, and it be here. Because what we're doing is we're adding Naphtha Red Light to this mix right here. So what I have to do is I have to go 1, 2. I have to add 2 more dots of Naphtha Red Light to balance it out back to this. Does that make sense? So when I add my 2 dots of Naphtha Red Light, I should be equal to this. This is just a way that you can work with saving paint. And a little bit of white. That should be close. Look at that. Because what we have to do is we have to bring the color back to the way it was. Now, you can just go make a whole new pile of paint or take the pile and split it in half. I've been running out of paint quite quickly because the furnace is on and things are drying out. So do it whatever way you want. So now I'm going to add another dot. That may be more, maybe a bit bigger dot. Naphtha Red Light, speck of white, Dusty Rose. Nice. Now I can take that one there, bring that here, speck of white, and that should be much, much redder. So what I've observed from this one here is by adding more burnt sienna, it really just neutralizes it. So there's not much of an effect. If I get my chart, I mean, it does become a little bit redder. You know, it's not as significant. Where it's significant is we're adding the Naphtha Red Light, because Naphtha Red Light is much more intense. So if we look on the tube, and this is what I love about these. So remember we did the intensity study on the colors? So the intensity, the higher the number, the more intense. But with the values, the lower the number, the duller. Like, so white is like a 10 and black is like a 0. Burnt sienna in values is 3.4, where black is 0. And Naphtha Red Light in values is 4.4. So value-wise, it's just a little bit more than burnt sienna. But where it shines is its intensity. So the intensity of the burnt sienna is a 5. Okay, where Naphtha Red Light is 14. That's why when we added the red, it just went poof and just obliterated the burnt sienna. It was so strong. So what this exercise is going to teach you is to understand the intensity. So when we ask our questions, what color is it? Is it brighter or duller? Is it lighter or darker? And where does it sit in the color wheel? Knowing the properties of the paint, you're going to know, okay, well, I want to take burnt sienna, but I want to brighten it up just a little bit. You're going to go, wait a minute. I know that Naphtha Red Light is super intense. I just need to add a specky speck to that to brighten it up a little bit. Not equal parts, because you see how far I had to go to try to bring it back down. Make sense? Okay, so let's do the same exercise now with Paranone Orange. Okay, so let's compare that one. Oh, wow. Okay, so Paranone Orange, when comparing, so let's bring these out. So burnt sienna, the intensity is a 5. Naphtha Red Light is 14.2. Paranone Orange is 15. Paranone Orange is a little bit more intense than Naphtha Red Light. Value-wise, where 0 is black, burnt sienna is 3.4. Naphtha Red Light is 4.4. Paranone Orange is 5.5. So Paranone Orange is lighter in value than all the other colors. So we would know now by understanding those properties that if we want to take Burnt Sienna and just shift it a little bit more towards the orange side, we only need to use a touch. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do it equal parts so we can see the whole thing in action. All right, so I'm going to do it right here. So Burnt Sienna. And it would have helped if I would have measured it out, right? 1, 2, 3. Did I have enough paint before? So 3. Paranone Orange. 1. Oh, that's a bit more. 2. That's pretty close. 3. Nice. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take, oh my goodness, take that and add a speck of white. Okay, so I have to do this right now, otherwise I am going to forget. So I want to challenge you. If you have, so Paranone Orange for me is a transparent color. And if you've been following me for a while, you should already have Burnt Sienna in your arsenal. What I'd like to challenge you, and I also want to see pictures of this, is for you to do this exercise, especially the Paranone Orange one. If you have cadmium orange hue, okay? When you do cadmium orange, the true cadmium orange is opaque, not transparent. Cadmium orange hue, the manufacturers have taken mixes and put them together to create their own orange, and likely they may have added white. So I'd like you to do this with other oranges just to see how the mix would vary based on the type of orange you use. I have vermilion, but the change isn't that much. Okay, so we added white to that one so you see the value. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and I'm going to add 1 speck of Paranone Orange. A little bit of white, just a little bit. Nope, did that wrong. Nope, I did that wrong. Should be down here. See, I did it backwards. Shoot. Okay, that's all right. And then now more Paranone Orange, because it's the mixing color that goes on the bottom and the actual Burnt Sienna goes on top. That's really taking it over. Paranone Orange is very strong. All right, so now if I want to go bring the color back to here, what do I have to add? I need to add 2 more parts of Burnt Sienna. 1, 2 more parts of Burnt Sienna. That brings it back. It's not going to be a perfect mix, but it should be to this. There you go. Oh, I didn't add a little bit of white to that. Oh, nice and opaque that is now. Go over the black of the lines. So that brought it back to that. So now what I'm going to do is, this is roughly the equal parts now. Add another part of Burnt Sienna. Let's get that out of there. If you have time, you can cover that with gesso or something. So now we've taken our equal part mix and we've added Burnt Sienna to it. That really dulls it down, doesn't it? More Burnt Sienna, a little bit of white. So again, the observation on this one as well when taking burnt sienna and I want to shift it to be a little bit more orange, that when working with Paranoid Orange, I just need to use a speck. Not much of a difference on that one, is there? It gets darker. So your mix will get darker as the burnt sienna because burnt sienna is darker than Paranoid Orange. And when you add more Paranoid Orange, it becomes a lighter. And that just makes sense on the color wheel. These are lighter, and then these are darker. All right. Let's do the same thing now with burnt sienna and Handsy Yellow Medium. Let's see if I can do this without screwing up. Any bets? I don't think so. Okay, so let's try with 1 part burnt sienna. No, a bit more than that. 1 part Handsy Yellow Medium. See if I can do it with just this paint without running out. I don't know. Equal parts goes right here. Huh. This looks gold. This looks goldy. Burnt sienna and Handsy Yellow Medium. Okay, so now let's add white to that. See the true underlying color. Wowzers. Love that. You can use this to paint really like a goldy. This is really interesting. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and add burnt sienna. I'm not going to add extra white to that. It's only when the mixes become really dark I like to add the extra white. That's way too much burnt sienna. Let's knock that down. Try to visualize adding this equal amounts. No, I was right. Try to visualize it in, you know, specks, touches, little bits, but have your own system in place. That way, if you know if you need to add a speck of something, it's your measurement of what a speck is. Okay. I look at this and I think of the color. My friend Lori, I remember quite a few years ago, painted her horse Jelly. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that's the color of his patches. This would make this close to that color. Now, again, I was looking at a digital picture, so I'm sure his colors in real life are much more intense, but I see this color. It's nice. It's nice. He's a beautiful horse. So now if I want to bring it back down to here now, I have to come back now and I have to bring it back to here. I need to add 2 more specks of Handsy Yellow Medium to bring it back to here. Again, like I said, you can split the pile in half where you still have this. Maybe I'll do that for this other one so you can see what I mean. I'm just trying to see how much paint I'm saving. A lot more room available on the palette. Can you see what I'm doing? Yeah, you should be able to see. And that should be this. Yep. The opacity changes though because we're adding a second layer. You'll also notice that it's not as opaque. Try to cover the black lines. It's semi-transparent because we're adding yellow to it. Let's add another thing of yellow to it. I'm not going to bother adding white to that because the yellow is already light. Okay, and a bit more yellow. So the nice experiment is to try this with different yellows. Try this with different oranges. You have a lot more time than I do. Try this with different reds. When we do our hue string, we will be doing this exercise basically with all the colors on the color wheel, but we're only going to be doing the mix, more emphasis on the burnt sienna side. Not that much of a change with the actual values here, eh? You notice that? little bit darker, a little bit more opaque up here. Then it's a slightly bit lighter and more transparent. So where does Hansa Yellow light, medium sit on the intensity scale? Okay, the value is 7.9, where white is 10. Should be 10. Yeah. So white is 10, and the intensity is 0.1. So if the intensity is 0.1, so we'll just say 0 for white. Hansa Yellow medium is 13. Naphtha red was 14. Paranoid orange was 15. So it's right up there on the intensity scale. The value is 7.9, where Paranoid orange is 5.5. Naphtha red is 4.4, where white is 10. So it's up there. So it's lighter, closer to the white because it's a much lighter paint. All right, so Burnt Sienna and Phthalo Blue. Okay, this part of the exercise now, you're going to get a sneak peek on making Chromatic Black. What the frick is Chromatic Black, you ask? Well, you ask if this is your first time watching any of my videos. Chromatic Black is a black made with color. Achromatic is black out of the tube. It's a single pigment black. So Carbon Black, Carbon Black is PBK7, and it's opaque for the Traditions tube, and it's semi-transparent for the fluid acrylics. The chroma, the intensity is 0.1, so it's dull. It's really, really dull. And the value is 1, where white is 10, black is 1. On the intensity level, black is 0.1, where let's say Paranoid orange is 15. So it's dull and it lacks anything. It lacks value. There's nothing in it. Chromatic Black is black made with color. And my go-to for Chromatic Black is Burnt Sienna Ultramarine Blue, but there's many other ways of making it. And when we get to that video, you may never ever use tube black ever again. All right, so 1 part Burnt Sienna. We'll do it first with Phthalo Blue. 1 part Phthalo Blue. That look about right? Pop quiz. What are we going to assume that's going to happen when we add Phthalo Blue to Burnt Sienna when it comes to the intensity? Well, it's not really a pop quiz because you're going to see the answer as it's developing. Now this one here, I'm not going to do it the same as here. I'm going to actually split it up into 2. Don't really need to split it up into 2. I just need to take my brush and go here. There we go. So equal parts. Right off the bat, it looks really, really dark. Well, maybe I should have did it the other way. Not quite enough paint. So when I do the Burnt Sienna, I'll do 2 specks. But where I'm putting it just over the paper to thinly do it, it looks teal. But right off the bat, that looks black. But when you want to see the true underlying color of it, wowzers. This is a gorgeous color. Oh. So Chromatic Black is pure. It's the pure mixes of 2 colors to make a black. But why would you ever want that? Because you can take this to paint a black cat that is under a blue light, or has or the black cat has his fur. If you rub the fur opposite in direction, even under sunlight, it has a bit of a blue hue. Then you would use this for the highlight. Maybe not as light, but then you can use this as the highlight by adding just a little bit of white, then a little bit more white, and a little bit more white. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to take this, and we're going to, well, let's just go down here. We're going to add some more of the mixing color. So we're going to add a speck more of Phthalo Blue. Well, let me just add a speck more white. Let's be consistent. Why is this mix so strong in compared to the other ones? Let's add a bit more Phthalo Blue. Oops, too much. Why is that mix so strong? And also, so that's your pop quiz question. Have you also realized that how much money you would be saving by just working with a limited palette? Even an extended palette is just the addition, I think, of four or five colors, I think, depending on what you want to paint. Big savings. So now if I want to work the other side, I'm not going to re-add anything, but I am going to have to clean my brush. We're going to go to the other pile now, just so you can see that we're losing a spot, basically. So this mix is this one here. We need to add white to it, so you can see the true underlying color. But now we're going to add burnt sienna, roughly the same amount, a bit more. So burnt sienna is a red-orange, neutral. Phthalo blue is a blue that leans towards green. Did I add white to that? I think I did. Look what happens when we add more burnt sienna. There we go. Wow, what a difference. So when we're looking at the burnt sienna with the naphtha red light, peridot orange, and even the Hansa yellow medium, the colors are relatively the same. They're kind of like in the same family, but this is a huge difference, isn't it? This goes from blue right to a green, a dull gray green. Why is that? That could make up pop quiz number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if these are relatively in the same family, why is there such a difference here with this mix being so blue going over to a gray green? Why is there such a difference? So now this is my go-to now for chromatic black. So I'm going to take 2 parts burnt sienna. It's still going to be equal parts. I just need to make more pink because I ran out there. And 2 parts of ultramarine blue. Now I will tell you right now that my mix for chromatic black using burnt sienna and ultramarine blue is more on the ultramarine blue side. Because ultramarine blue is transparent, burnt sienna is opaque. This mix here is closer to a burnt umber. Yes, folks, you can make burnt umber with burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. You add more brown. Sorry, burnt sienna and ultramarine blue makes nice chromatic black. Add more burnt sienna, you get burnt umber. Add more blue, you get Payne's gray. This is definitely more on the brown side. Let's just bring a bit more color in here. So if this was a true chromatic black, it'd be more gray than this. This is definitely more brown. You're going to see that up here. No, yeah, you're going to see it down here, more of the mixing color. So my chromatic black, I add 1 extra speck of ultramarine blue. So it's 1 part burnt sienna and around 2 parts ultramarine blue, because ultramarine blue, from what we've seen in all the videos, is a weaker pigment and it is more transparent. So now let's go right to here and add more ultramarine blue. Make sure I do this right. Yeah, right in here. There, look at that. That's more of a gray. Lovely. I'm going to do my actual chromatic black right here. I think the chromatic black lesson is probably the one I am most excited about. I don't know why. I don't know why. I love working with chromatic black. Because working with chromatic black, if you have to do something that's really low key, like really dark, ran out of paint. It just brings your paintings to life. Using black out of the tube, unless you're looking for something opaque, like when I paint the black of an eye for a bird or an animal or whatever, I will likely go with carbon black because I can get it in one shot because it's so small. If I use chromatic black, sometimes I have to actually go with 2 dots, but there's a way we can get around that, and we're going to learn that in that actual lesson. All right, so I'm going to rinse my brush. And now I'm going to take the original mix here and go with more burnt sienna. And let's add some white to that. So it definitely goes more brown. Definitely, definitely, definitely. I think I picked up too much white on that one. That's a little bit too much white. There we go. So a huge difference on shifting it on the color wheel. Huge difference. So now let me just give you an idea. So I'm going to take 1 part burnt sienna, 2 parts ultramarine blue, mix those 2 together. And this is how I get my chromatic black. And I'm looking at my palette and shift that to the light. I'm looking at my palette and I'm kind of spreading it out to make sure I get more of a gray. Looking here, I can go with a little bit more blue, just a speck. So I'm using the white of the palette to kind of give me an idea, without even adding white, of what the color mix is going to be. So let's give that a shot. All I'm going to do is add white so you can see the true underlying color. Okay, and then we add white. Boom. There we go. All right, rinse my brush. If I want more burnt umber, take that existing mix, add 1 more part of burnt sienna. I'm gonna put that here. This is without white. Now I'm going to add white. So when we have, so this is now, the mixture is equal parts now. So this is 1 burnt sienna, 2 ultramarine blue, and this is plus titanium white. And this is this plus burnt sienna plus titanium white. So now let's make up this mix again. So we're going to take 1 part, I've got the paint, might as well use it. 1 part burnt sienna, 2 parts ultramarine blue to get our chromatic black. And I'm going to mix, make sure it's gray. Use the palette paper to judge the value of that, and that looks pretty good. And let's see if I'm going to go on the side here just to make sure. This is a bit more on the blue side. Look at that one. This is a bit more on the blue side. Look at that. So let's, first of all, change that value a little bit. Bring a bit more burnt sienna in there. Try to bring that back down to normal. Still a little bit too much white. I went a little bit heavy on there. Yeah, it's not bad, so we'll just use that. That's actually closer. So now I'm going to take more ultramarine blue. Whoops, rinse my brush. Sorry. I want to take the raw color, add more ultramarine blue, and then what we get with this is Payne's gray. I don't want to pick up any of that white. Oh, that's a little bit too blue. Let me just add a bit more burnt sienna in there. I think I picked up some white. Payne's gray is a black that leans towards blue, but paint manufacturers all make it differently. Let's add some white to that. This was originally the original mix I made when I added a bit too much blue. You can definitely see how it shifts. Okay, so this is plus ultramarine blue. Titanium white. Sorry, got that mixed up. All right, so chromatic black. So when taking burnt sienna and shifting it, just to give you an idea of all the different colors that you can make, the most common one will be the chromatic black. When you use the black is depending on which one you use. That basically burnt sienna and a blue makes a nice chromatic black, but which blue? Phthalo blue is really, really strong. Ultramarine blue is a really nice one to use, and you just have to work with your actual touches, like one part, one part, one part. You have to work on your own measuring system to be able to figure out which one. You easily saw how when I remade the paint into a new mixture, I was off by a little bit. I wasn't paying attention. Off by a little bit, but it's very easy to correct. I know this was a much longer video, but working with burnt sienna, with shifting it on the color wheel, especially when we're going over to chromatic black, super important. I don't even remember how many pop quiz questions I asked. So whatever you're going to answer in the comments below, type out the question, then type out your answer so I know what you're referring to. And also to post pictures, if you're watching this on YouTube, you need to go into the description below, click on the link for the community, go over there and post your pictures over in the community because you can't post pictures in YouTube. Alrighty, so I look forward to seeing your burnt sienna charts, and until I see you in the next lesson, stay inspired.